Nepal's Prime Minister resigns in the wake of deadly protests, plunges the country into deeper chaos. Joining us to put the Nepal developments in their proper context for you is Ambassador Manjeev Singh Puri. Ambassador Puri is a former Indian envoy to Nepal. Ambassador Puri, welcome to DD India News Hour. Now, what just happened in Nepal? How did a protest against a ban on social media lead or morph into ouster of the government?
Question. This protest is the outcome of a very long-standing sense of frustration among young people, the economy not going places, the political space being in a sense, completely taken over by three leaders, Mr. Oli, Mr. Sheikh Bahadur Dioba, and Mr. Prachand, managing everything among themselves and not leaving much space available within the parliamentary system for even talking about political issues and matters pertaining to the people. The entire issue of social media also needs to be seen in the context of the kind of society Nepal is. Now, with more than 25% of its citizenry overseas and across the world, in the Americas, in Europe, in the Gulf, in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, etc., and the need for connectivity, frustrations being outed using social media. So when you ban it, it was not just the thin edge of a wedge, but it was really a steep wedge. People went out on the streets, they were mobilized easily, and then something very, very crucial happened. The police and the administration misjudged matters, took law into they had law enforcement with a very heavy hand. They opened fire, they killed about 19-20 people, large numbers of people got injured, and that raised the public anger to a tremendous level. And the public anger, Ramesh, I should stress this, in the community which calls Nepal its country, the Pahari community, the Khas Arya, the Brahmins and the Kshetris of Nepal, those who say Nepal belongs to them, in their community, they suffered the losses. They saw their children in school uniform with bullet holes in their head. This went across the board, and they said, look, there will have to be accountability. It's not just good enough of resignations, but you will really have to pay a price because you've hurt us.
Indeed, you spoke about the cost of living crisis made worse by unemployment. You spoke about income inequality and corruption. Could it also be attributed to fatigue and frustration with Nepal's experiments with parliamentary democracy?
Ramesh, I won't say so at all. This Nepal moved to a republic a long time back, 20 years back.
Right.
And it has a system of democracy which we in India don't have, which is a half proportional, a one-third proportional representation, and the other side being first past the post. We in India think first past the post is the only thing. Nobody else in the world has that as a system. No, that's not it. What I would say, however, is that what happened in Nepal was that about a year and a half back, the two largest political parties came together in a coalition. So what happens as a result of this is that the parliamentary space gets completely constricted. If 2/3 are on one side, who is there to protest? Who is there to bring your anger to the table? And this entire vent of parliamentary democracy also goes. This is in fact an important lesson for everybody to take home, that in parliamentary democracies, rather in all democracies, opposition and its functioning in parliament, in Congress, etc., is particularly important because it's an important vent for people's ire, at the same time for giving the government a very good idea of the pulse of the people.
Fair enough. Let me ask you a related question then, Ambassador Puri. Nepal transitioned into a democracy beginning with the fall of the monarchy in 2006 and the subsequent election of the Maoist government in 2008. Since then, the new republic has seen a number of prime ministers come and go. This revolving door or musical chairs is not doing Nepal any good, is it? Are systemic solutions necessary now?
Ramesh, I'm not sure I can easily subscribe to this.
Okay.
Italy has had a revolving door prime minister that's a member of the G7. This is a question of being able to get your act together.
Okay.
Of course, there are divisions in Nepali society, and how did this monarchy being abolished come about? As a result of the communist side of the Nepali polity being split. And so you had the Maoists who initially got very large number of votes, but who've been increasingly coming down in terms of their parliamentary share. However, they remain there. So it teaches you that you need to have coalitions, you need to work in it, but at the same time, the opposition needs to be strong. This is something that is particularly important. Remember, it's a young society which has now experienced globalization the first time in its history, but experienced it with a vengeance, with so many people being overseas. So there is a kind of natural empowerment in the society, a weakish economy. When you take all of that, it's always a situation in which the people feel frustrated. And once you remove the ability of being able to do much politically, otherwise you would have political instability, the governments would change, they would have rotating doors, at least things went on. This time the people felt they had nothing to do because the entire parliament had gone ahead with taken away their one source of venting themselves, which was social media.
Ambassador Puri, do you sense a nostalgia for constitutional monarchy? Could former King Gyanendra make a comeback?
Ramesh, I should be very honest with you. This is a thought which only occurs to people in India.
Okay.
Even when the so-called pro-monarchy demonstrations happened, the number of people on that side was not few, not many.
Right.
The pro-monarchy parties have hardly garnered any seats in the elections that have taken place in 2017. However, that doesn't mean what is the outcome of this particular upheaval. The Prime Minister has been ousted. The politicians, the cohort of Mr. Prachanda, Mr. Dioba, and Mr. Oli stand discredited in public eyes. What kind of a way forward can be found? Would there be some kind of a role for the king? I don't know the answers to all that.
Okay.
But frankly, Nepalese are wedded to democracy. They like the idea of, and in fact, in a way, if I may say so, this public protest is also a symbol of democracy, of course, with a vengeance, in a manner which we don't like, which is, mobs taking over and doing things not good at all. But it also shows you that there is public participation and the public wants. Nobody has a magic wand to solve Nepal's problems.
Fair enough.
Let's be very clear. If the monarchy had had the problems, they wouldn't have been ousted.
Indeed, fair enough. Point taken, Ambassador. Now, looking ahead, what does the Constitution of Nepal say happens now? A new government from the existing parliament, or dissolution of parliament, a snap election maybe, or a caretaker government?
So caretaker government has already been announced. That's norm in all democracies. The thing is, ideally, the constitution would demand that the parliament elect its own leader. In some senses, something can happen. But the situation is that there is a public perception of, out with the current establishment. And so, therefore, the president, which is Ramchandra Paudarji, who is a seasoned politician, between him and I dare say the army chief, who without being very much in the forefront, certainly would have been a very important figure at the back, and some other politicians, including younger people, who people say are in some senses those who are pushing these ideas of the young people on the ground, Balan Shah, the mayor, Ravi Lami Chame, who has been released from jail, all of them. I hope all of the younger people, the younger political leaders, even some of the older ones who haven't been formed part of this trinity of those who've been running the country, come together, work together, because essentially the people of Nepal, I'm sure, would like a degree of stability. They know that there can't be a government which can provide a magic wand. But on the other hand, they do want a degree of accountability, because what has happened is that their people, i.e. leaders elected from within them, have hurt them very badly. The sight of young children being brutalized, killed, lying in hospitals, that has truly devastated and hurt the community, and that also requires a healing balm.
Indeed. Looking at it from an Indian perspective now, Ambassador Puri, KP Sharma Oli, we are told, was rabidly anti-India. So how would New Delhi be looking at his ouster?
So Ramesh, when you say that, he was Prime Minister throughout my time there. We had Prime Minister Modi visit Nepal twice. We had the oil pipeline built. The ICP is done. So, and I know what you are talking about. These are general references. His politics towards the last 10 years of his life was taking advantage of an anti-India stance. The blockade gave him an opportunity. True. So let's look at the so-called foreign hand business. The Chinese, would they be happy? I don't think so. We had nothing to do with this. Look, we were dealing with Oli We were dealing, there was supposed to be a visit taking place now. We had the Nepali Congress as part of it. Yes, let's also remember that the last 20 years in Nepal have seen quite a growth, not just of globalization, but of Western influences, the church, the Europeans, etc. And if I may use your channel to just say something, woke may have gone out of fashion within the Western countries, but it seems the Nepalese are reacting to woke in some sense or the other. I might say so. But I want and hope that good sense would prevail among the leaders who are there, even the younger people, the army chief at the back, the president himself, and try and say, look, we are going through a critical phase. We all need to come together. We need to address what the students are saying. We need to feel the pulse of the people, and we need to address it. And above all, we all need to work in a degree of solidarity, understanding, and if I may use this word, empathy for the people.
I'm afraid that's all we have time for on this broadcast. I'll have to leave it at that. Ambassador Puri, thank you once again for joining us and sharing your perspectives with our viewers in India, Nepal, and around the world. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated.